everyone, welcome to the podcast series of Radio Nyra, and this is your host Vaishnavi, and today we have a very special guest with us, Mona Singh ji. Welcome to our show, who is a Democratic candidate for Wake County. Please, welcome to our show. It's a pleasure to have you, Mona.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Absolutely.
So first of all, congratulations. And it's a great thing that some woman is in there for Wake County Commissioner. So how do you feel? What was the moment you realized that you won the primaries?
Yeah, so March 3rd was the election date, and they delayed the results by an hour because in some other county they had to extend voting. So it was a little late at night when I saw the results come in. And this was the primary for county commissioner. There were 7 candidates running for 2 seats.
Wow.
And I was a newcomer. It was the first election I was running. So I had my goals, but it wasn't really quite clear to me that I was going to make it to the second position, get one of the 2 nominations. So when I really saw the numbers come in late at night, it took a long time to sink in. It took a few days really to sink in and to realize that I got more votes than a 3-time incumbent for the Raleigh City Council, who is also very popular. So a few days for it to sink in, but then of course increasingly I understand the impact of that, being the first Indian in North Carolina to be elected at the county level.
Definitely.
It's bigger than congressional districts, it's bigger than the legislative districts. There's Wake County has 13 House seats, so there's it's 13 times that of a number of votes or people that you're representing. So it is quite overwhelming, but also very joyful to get the nomination for.
Sure. And if you talk about your journey, what made you or what inspired you to step into public services?
Yeah, so I've been very keen on the political side, on the policy side, for a very long time. Even though it's I have a technology background, I'm really not a policy or political person. But coming from India, I grew up in New Delhi. I realized that it's important for us to be involved in the political process because at any time anything can happen, and it's our voice. It's the ability to sort of speak for us and make our voices heard. That's very important. So when I got my citizenship in 2000, the first thing I did was to go register to vote.
Wow.
And I've been voting. I've voted in every election, and I also have been trying to get other people to get involved. So I've done that for a very long time. I've also been volunteering with the homeless for a long time. That's where my heart really is making the lives of people better. And I've been teaching refugees English. So I'm a grassroots person. I'm out there doing things. I'm not the sit in the boardroom and make decisions kind of person. But then over the years, I realized that these are, a lot of these positions, especially the county commission, and especially in today's day and age after Trump won the presidency, a lot of cuts are happening. Cuts are happening that are impacting education. The NC legislature is cutting funds for education. They're giving out private school vouchers and literally bleeding the public schools of their funds. And I understand the importance of public education. My kids went to public schools, and I wouldn't do it any other way ever. And I want the same for all the kids of Wake County. So that at that point I realized that with being a volunteer, I can only do so much. If I really need to have an impact, it has to be through policy. And even though it was far beyond outside of my comfort zone, I decided to step up and run. And I decided to run for the county commission because I think that's the most important role these days, given where things are. The decisions that are made at the county level are really impactful.
This shows that you are a people's person.
Yes.
Because you go and do the work.
Yes.
So that's really impressive and good to know that you're a people's person. And so how, if you go beyond politics, like, okay, before this, I would like to ask you, what are the challenges did you face during this campaign process, the whole thing, till you won?
Yeah, that's, so when I started off early, I decided that, very early in January of 2025, I decided I needed the time because I knew what I didn't know, and I knew I had to learn a lot of things, make connections that I didn't have. So since I've been a volunteer for a long time, I knew a lot of people in Kerry, and a lot of people in Kerry, Morrisville knew me. So that was a good starting point. A lot of people that I work with, the homeless in Raleigh, but they don't vote. They have other problems, so they were not going to be able to come and stand for me, right? A lot of the work I do with refugees is actually in Durham. So they're not in Wake County. So I started off, I understood that I had to reach out to everyone in Wake County and really understand what their problems are. So I started going to events, traveling all the way from Apex, Garner to Wake Forest, Zebulon, Nightdale, making connections, trying to understand what the issues people were facing was. And then I think as I got to know more people really bought into the vision and bought into the importance of having a grassroots person at the county level, and someone who's really been close to people. So that was the thing that I did, is really reach out. Didn't take anything for granted. Absolutely did not. And just really worked hard, knocked on thousands and thousands of doors, and it.
I think that's the biggest challenge, that you go and knock each door and explain.
Yes, and you knock on doors, and a lot of people don't answer the door, right? So, but it's the ones that do answer that you really make a connection. And then I've had people where they knock on a door and it was a teacher, and she said, "Oh, I want you to come to my meeting and meet other people." And I met so many people who then themselves became conduits to other voters, and I think that helped.
I think that gives you sort of boost.
It does. It absolutely does. I got the boost from talking to people. I went to a lot of other events as well. The party events, social events. So I was just always ready at a moment's notice to go wherever I needed to go. So I drove a lot around the county. It's I haven't looked at the miles, but it's been a lot, and some days in 3 or 4 different events, and out every evening. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And you see, like, the Wake County is growing very fast, and also, like, you see a lot of diversified communities.
Yes.
So how do you represent and engage those communities?
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing about Wake County, is that it's growing, it's diverse. It's extremely 55% of the people who are in Wake County come from somewhere else. They're not local. And about 15 or so % were born in a different country. And that population does not have representation. So because I was born in India, I understand what it means to move. And when I work with refugees, I think on a weekly basis I'm exposed to people who come from somewhere else, and how lost they can be, and how many questions they have, and that's that it keeps me grounded. I know what the problems are, and I think that's what we need. We need people in elected office who have that experience, who really understand. I mean, in generalities we all do, but in specifics, like, how do you get your kid enrolled in a public school, right? How do you get a library card? How do you take the bus? So when I go volunteer with refugees, we actually do that. We take them to the library, help them get a card, take them on a bus, even take them to a restaurant so they can order coffee. So those are the things that kind of, I think, over the years have prepared me to be very, very sensitive to the differences that immigrant communities bring, various communities. Now, people who come from Europe or speak English, it's a different thing. People who come from countries where they don't speak English, or they're very, or the religion is different, so and the culture is different.
Yeah.
I'm being an Indian, I'm very very much exposed to that and sensitive to that. So I think all of those things really are where we need to focus on to bring people together, make sure we can reach out to all these communities, because the traditional ways of reaching out will not work. They're different, and getting feedback from them. So how do you even interact, get there? How do you understand what their problems are?
Yes.
Right. That's the challenge, and I think I'm being based on my background, I feel like I'm well suited to sort of address those.
Any interesting case study you would like to share? I mean, any interesting story or the situation where it actually you felt like, yes, this help was required, and thank God that this has been delivered.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of my stories and experiences come from refugees. So there's people coming from all over the place, and then there's all kinds of worries. I remember one person, she was actually from Pakistan and had helped the U.S. government. Take out Osama bin Laden, and then the government makes you a refugee and brought them here. And one fine day in English class, she was just completely distraught, and she said, my husband hasn't been able to find a job. I made the biggest mistake by coming here because I'm scared. And her husband was in the army, right? And she said, I'm scared every time he walks out the door because of the gun violence. So imagine something coming from a war, to having been in that kind of a role and being worried about walking out the door in Durham. That gives you the perspective on how bad things are here, first of all. But then I talked her through that. I said, he will get a job, right? You just have to have faith, keep doing the right thing. As long as you're doing the right thing, you'll get there. She was worried about how her kids will go to school. So we actually helped them. Even I've been to people's homes to help them figure out how to communicate with the teachers, right? And having done that, and then going back a few months later and talking to them and say, it all worked out in reality. My husband did get a job, and the kids got into school finally, and so when you see that, that's the most rewarding thing, because you put someone on a path to success. So it's teaching them how to fish, it's giving them the little help that they need, and a whole lot of encouragement. I think that is what I learned to do. Sometimes it was disheartening to me too, like you're not getting a job, but making sure that you keep them going, right? And believing in themselves is a big part of it. So that's very rewarding, because you see them over time.
You see like all the phases which they have been into, and
yes.
In that period it might be so much of depression and the trauma phase.
Yes.
You would have seen, and then you see that they are happy.
Yes.
So that gives you kind of a satisfaction.
Absolutely. I think that's why I do it, because you see that you've made an impact.
Yeah.
You've really made their lives better, because a lot of them will come here. It's not one or two people. They'll come in a week or month later. They'll say, "Oh, we made a big mistake. We waited 10 years to come here, but I want to go back. I think it was the wrong decision." And but then after a few months, when they've actually made it, and there's some after years. Some of them keep coming to classes after years, and they'll say, "Oh, my son now has a job, and my daughter,"
wow.
And it's and then some of them go into advocacy, which is the most exciting thing for me.
Right.
It's like, okay, it's come full circle. I've done my job. So I think there's lots of such cases which I feel very happy to be a part of their lives. Yeah.
Now, being in public services now, and what are the three priority, if you say like these are the focus areas which you would like to definitely give priority? So what will be those? What are the three things you would say like?
Yeah. So the County Commission spends a lot of their money on public education, and like I said, I truly believe in public education, because Vic County is big, and the public education can actually cater to the wide variety of kids. So I had children, one was a math guy, the other one was a music person, and in Wake County they all flourished. And I saw other kids too, because there's the volume, right? So you can cater to the various specialities, needs of the children. And I think that's my first focus. I want to make sure that our public education is good. Because if you think about it, the reason Wake County is flourishing, one of the main reasons is that our public education is good. So people are willing to move from other parts of the country and work here. And companies are coming here because it's the weather is good and education is good. So that's one thing. But also what I have seen a lot of is that in addition to just the book education, we need to worry about the kids' health. So the county supports public health, mental health, and I think we need to keep putting a lot of focus on that, because if you don't have health, you really are not going to get an education. And a similar thing that I'm very passionate about is affordable housing.
Definitely.
Housing has become really unaffordable over the years, and I've seen, and as I knock on doors, I've seen the impact of that, where there's kids living with their parents or grandparents sometimes, or just I've seen lots of people become homeless. When I go to the homeless shelter, it used to be that it was people who had either mental health problems or drug problems that were needing support. But more and more, I see people who just are out of a job. They don't have any, they couch surf for a little bit, and then after that they have no place to go. And that should not be the case. So I really want to focus on education, training, and whatever we need to do to get people back on their feet so they don't become homeless, even if it's more rental assistance, if it's more training. And it's also making sure that there is housing that people can afford. Definitely. Right? So that's all of those kind of merge together. And another thing, as we grow and become a bigger metropolitan area, I think we really need to focus on public transportation. Because what I've seen, and a lot of it comes from my groundwork, is that you knock on a door in Zebulon, right? There's the family, they have one vehicle, right? So there's one person goes to a job and the other person now, and you know how expensive cars are these days. Yeah. The other person is not able to get a job or a job they deserve, right? Or would like to have. So they'll just take whatever they can get nearby, right? So public transportation, I think, will help people. It will help in upward mobility. That's what we really need to focus about, because people are underemployed. And what happens if you're not employed? Imagine being a nurse or a teacher and you can't get to work and you're at home. You're not going to be happy. It's going to take a toll on your physical health, your mental health, and everything
Especially
else.
mental health will be affected.
Exactly.
If you know that you can work,
yes.
When you have talent, you have knowledge, and
yes.
you see other people working.
Yes.
And that's kind of a thing where you are not happy with whatever you do.
Exactly. So I've talked to a lot of such people, and I think we need to put focus on making transportation work for people, right? So I don't want empty buses. I want us to figure out, exactly where the movement should be, where, how we can get more faster, reliable transportation so people can lead productive lives and pay taxes.
Yeah, I think this if we talk about transportation, this would actually help a lot of women.
Yes.
Who
yes.
are at home. And,
absolutely. Women are always the target of, and they have, it impacts them more. It's,
absolutely.
Even the cost of daycare impacts women more, because what will happen is the husband will keep their job and the wife will.
Yeah.
So, and it's across cultures that happens. So we need to focus on transportation, housing, healthcare. Even healthcare
Yeah.
affects women more. You know, so we
Right.
have to be very, very, very sensitive to those needs.
Definitely. So now we know that Wake County is growing fast. How do you see what are your plans to balance economic growth and with the quality of life? Like, how do you see the economic growth in Wake County?
Yeah, so if we can keep our education system going, I think we'll keep growing. We'll have economic growth, and the quality of life comes into play as we get bigger and bigger. Of course, there's some places that get more crowded. You know, we have to build more homes, more apartments coming up. But I think we need to sort of understand that it's a good thing that we are growing, that we have, that things are coming. You grow only when everything kind of comes together nicely, right? That you have the talent. First of all, we need to make sure that we retain the talent here and, you know, keep training our folks, that we keep building homes, keep educating our kids so that they're employed. And then grow in a way that, you know, where we're saving the beauty of the place, the environment, by not just completely cutting off trees when we're building apartment complexes that become an eyesore and lead to like stormwater problems. So we can do it. We just have to be very, very careful about how we do it. And where we do it. So there's some growth will have to be within the dense areas because people have to get to work. But also if as we're expanding, so there's no one right solution, right? So we have to grow outwards as well. But when we do that we make sure that we plan better. So if we're building homes in Zebulon, we know where the grocery stores are, where we know where the schools are. So when we start building the homes or apartments, we're also planning everything together, that the infrastructure all comes together, because it's about the people, right? You don't want to bus their kids 10 miles away for a couple of years, start building the schools and then redistrict them and to a closer school. It's not good for the kids, it's not good for the families. So I think if we sort of put our mind to it, it's, you know, it's about planning, it's about really collaborating with all the jurisdictions. So there's 12 towns and one city in Wake County. If we can get everyone together, get everyone planning together, make sure everything is going to work for people, I think it'll be a much smoother ride to the quality of balance of the quality of life and economic growth.
Right. And with this, do you also see the opportunities for small scale businesses?
Yes.
Especially immigrants who come here?
Yeah. A lot of the immigrants, a lot of the refugees I see, they do have these small businesses that start up, and we want to make sure we are very, very mindful of how to encourage them and not make life hard for them. So the permitting processes are often difficult, but also other help. Again, language help comes into play for a lot of things, because a lot of people don't. I mean, and even if you know the language, sometimes these processes are very complex. So we want to make sure we have help for these small business, startups even, that can make sure that the government works for them.
And in addition to it, it's like my question.
Yes.
Do you think, along with the startups and these, the encouragement towards innovations, do you think there should be specific things also to be meant for women entrepreneurs and the women startups, because they first of all they take permissions or they put a lot of efforts to start any business. So is there any specific plan for women startups?
Yeah, there are. Actually, there are several ways, or there's several things already in play, but we need to make sure they're actually helping people with the things that they really need. Taking away the roadblocks for them. And also, when on the topic of women, the county actually does work with organizations against domestic violence.
Absolutely.
Again, women are a target of that more often than not, and that's another thing that I think we need to focus on, because as we were talking earlier, there are first generation communities, immigrants, things are very different. People
Yes.
don't have the information. They don't know where to go get the information. They don't know what to do. So those are things we need to be more mindful of with the various communities, and make sure we can reach out to them and that they know how to get help.
I see a lot of things gonna be improving in future. So for you, like as a person, what kind of a leader you want to be known as?
So for me, I think the most important thing is to reach out to the people who are really underprivileged. Whether it be immigrants or people who've been here for the longest time but are still underprivileged. So I want to be the kind of leader that's always listening to people, and that's what I've done in my professional life. All my life I've been the human-centric technology person, and I want to bring that to government. It should be people-driven governance. So I want to be the leader who's really bringing people out to be a part of the government decision making.
Right.
And then I think things will go better with them, because not everything will be perfect for everyone, but at least people will understand why something happened. Because one of the things I notice is that we have a lot of silos within the community. There's the Asian community, there's the Southeast Asian community, there's the African American community, there's the...
It's so diversified.
It's so diversified, but everybody is really in their own silo. And that's not a good thing. So in terms of leadership, I think one thing I really want to do is to bring people together, to make sure that we can interact at the human level, right? And really understand each other and really sort of do things together and get to know each other, help each other. Because I think we have, on one side, I see a lot of talent, a lot of people wanting to help, and on the other side, I see people who need help.
Mm-hmm.
I see kids who don't have anyone who'll even talk to them or encourage them or help them. And I think if we bring them together, it's going to be a win-win for everyone.
Definitely. So you spoke about the challenges you had, during the campaign. So what is the support system you have?
So I wouldn't run if I didn't have a support system. So, of course, at home, my husband has been very supportive, but I've also been a part of, the Democratic Party for a long time, and most of my support came from other volunteers who've been a part of, because we've done stuff together, and they kind of understood that I was doing this not for myself, like that was absolutely not the case, but I was doing it because of the things that I really cared about. And I think they all stepped up to help me, from to raising money, to poll greeting on election day, early 17 days of early voting, 12 hours a day. So it was, the support system was really, the other progressives, the Democrats, and people who've known me for a long time. I mean, so not all of them were actually Democrats who came out to help. Even a lot of Republicans came out to help. Because
that's called a teamwork.
Yes, because they believed that that they wanted to help me. So that was my support system.
You are a technology person as
Yes.
well. So give us some insights about how technology is growing, how AI is, playing a major role, and is it impacting jobs, or is it like giving a progressive way of working? If you can share some insights.
Yeah. So I actually have worked a lot in AI, and I have 137 patents now, US patents.
I was counting 100, but yeah.
Yes, yeah, they keep growing.
Wonderful.
So 137 at this point, and a lot of them are related to AI.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my PhD was when I was doing my PhD, my work was on natural language understanding, and I worked in a technology company building a natural language understanding system back in the day. So there's lots of different kinds of AI. The generative AI is what people are really most scared about. I've worked on smartphones. There's so much AI in your phone when you do online shopping. There's AI in all of that. And I think there's a lot of good stuff that AI has done. It has made our life very much easier. But the generative AI part of it, especially with a lot of the jobs can now be done to some extent, at least, with AI, and I think that's leading to some job losses and a lot of anxiety by people who worry that they'll lose jobs, their kids will lose jobs, and it's a mixed bag. So first, I don't think AI will actually take over jobs, because I've lived through the times where people had typewriters and we got computers and we had spell checking. So those, to some extent, it's a progression. But it's a bigger progression now.
Right.
If you can, especially for the arts, it can write poetry, it can create videos, it can do a lot of stuff. Music,
Absolutely.
Musicians are worried, and it can write code to do stuff, right? So there is some there's going to be an impact on that. But what I really think is we need to focus on how we behave will work. So back in the day, you really had to learn how to type and type fast, so it could, you could use a typewriter without the keys sticking. But then you stopped worrying about it and started worrying about other things. So your talents really have to shift.
Yes.
And I think the same thing has to happen now. So let's say the technology can do the job of a 5th grade or 8th grade kind of work, but it's not going to take away innovation. It's not going to take away the leap that
Definitely.
human beings can make. But if we don't understand that our thinking or our expertise has to change across some dimensions, then we'll be at a loss. So because we have to train our kids to think differently. So AI brings you some results. You have to know how to evaluate that, because it could be all wrong. I mean, it could be complete hallucination.
It can hallucinate.
Yes, and so being able to understand, how to break it down, how to evaluate that, and then take the next step, the next leap, is going to be where the talent has to be now. So we have to train people to think more creatively and more deeply about a lot of things, so that they can have be productive members of society. So it's going to be a big change, and I think that's why it's important that we have people with that background in government. So people really understand what's happening under the hood. They understand,
It's like a bonus,
Yes.
along with the services which you're doing, which
Yes.
you're working. It's like a bonus that you have a technology knowledge as well.
Yes.
It will complement your work. For
Exactly. And another place where I think technology, and especially my expertise, can help a lot is that I worked on, finding the problems before they become problems, finding ways of making things more efficient, figuring out where we could use technology to be efficient, what the risks are, making sure we are planning better, so coming from 30 years of building products, you have to be very good at planning, prioritizing, and efficiencies, creating efficiencies and holding yourself accountable, with absolute transparency. So I think all of those I really believe will come in really handy in making the county a better place.
Indeed. Definitely. We spoke a lot about the technology, the public safety, transportation, everything. Let's have some fun rapid fire for you.
Yeah.
So I have few questions. It would be a rapid fire, so you need to be very quick in answering. So let's start with that. One word to describe Wake County.
Flourishing.
Wow. Coffee or chai?
Masala chai.
Early morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Wow, me too. Favorite place in the triangle?
It's Umstead State Park.
Beautiful. One message you want every listener to remember today
is that don't be scared of politics, be a part of it. It affects you on everyday, in your everyday things. It's not somebody else's problem. Become a part of the process.
So, and how can people, be a part of it? Because a lot of people want to do something, they want to contribute, but they don't know like how to do it. So what are the channels you see that, maybe for our listeners who want to do something or maybe join hands, so how can they do, help?
Yeah, so I'm actually setting up a lot of events, that are education events, social events, even cultural exchange events that are happening, just because I truly believe that we need to do that. So get in touch with me. I'm Mona at monaforwake.com, and we'll find a thing for you to do, and it's going to be fun. And I can tell you that for sure. It's a lot of fun. I think doing things together is rewarding for everyone, and even if you give your time, it comes back to you manyfold. So reach out and step up and step in.
Thank you, Mona Singh. It's been like we spoke so much, and you give a lot of insights in different sectors. I think you have a great knowledge, and the way you are connected with people, it shows that you are a people's person. Thank you so much for being today here and you giving your time.
Absolutely.
It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I truly appreciate it. Thanks.